Keeping a Kind Community, a case study done by Ryan Loudon, Connie, Mason Hong, and Diego Yunda. First, let's hear from Kind's CEO.
I was personally still struggling to find a product that I could feel good about eating for myself, like something that would be healthy but also tasty, that would be substantive and wholesome but also convenient to travel with. And I ended up, after a long journey, launching Kind, and that just took off because I guess there were more people like me that were looking for a product that was both healthy and tasty. Kind was an evolution from 10 or 12 years of valiant but many failed efforts at building businesses in this food space. And we launched Kind against that backdrop where we barely could make ends meet. When I started, I literally did every single thing other than maybe growing the almonds in the trees. I took orders myself. I walked down the streets to write down the orders. I delivered the product in my beaten up car and ran quickly to deliver the product and back before I got a ticket, because if I got a ticket, it erased my profits for the entire day, and it happened sometimes. What I find fascinating is looking back, how lucky I am that my team and I were a handful of people, just kept going and didn't give up. We really made sure that we obsessed about the quality of our product, that we obsessed about never sacrificing or cutting any corners. And I think that's why the brand just exploded. I think what drew customers to Kind is the same thing that draws them today. Being able to look at craftily, beautifully made product with your own eyes and knowing instinctively that it's an authentic product and an authentic company that's very transparent, very straightforward, and being able to rely time and again on our commitment to always exceed your expectations, which is not easy to do, but it's what we're committed to do. I don't think about like, okay, we're doing well ever, because it's just wired into my brain as a survivor to always be worrying. So even when we're growing at 100% or we're not, at all times I'm thinking, what are we doing wrong? How can we do better? I'm never satisfied or content. It's just in my nature. We're still the babies in the space, right? Like there's like $100 billion conglomerates, and we're the little guys that are like proving that we can stand up to these gigantic Goliaths, but we're still a very small company. But as we scale and we go from 5 to 600 team members, it's a very interesting time where you need to maintain that entrepreneurship spirit, but also recognize that you need to learn to adopt certain systems to be able to continue growing.
Kind is a healthy snack food company whose mission is to provide healthy and delicious snacks to consumers. Their company motto is ingredients you can see and pronounce, and this aims to provide snacks that provide healthy calories and nutrition. Since CEO Daniel Lebetsky started Kind in 2004, it has become one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. Sales revenue for Kind in 2010 reached $10 million, while in 2012, sales skyrocketed to a staggering $120 million. The reason for this rapid growth is mostly due to Kind's marketing strategies. Kind's belief is that natural marketing is essential, and that means not using a company's image of being charitable in order to promote their product. However, this does not mean that they cannot still use kindness to spread the movement of Kind. For example, rather than using standard direct sampling, Kind lets the everyday population sample their products by rewarding them for their kind actions. This attempts to have the consumers feel valued by the company, and it's more likely that this individual becomes a regular customer. Kind's core target demographic is individuals who are health conscious but want tasty products. Kind also plans to eventually target children in their marketing as well. Kind has been growing at a substantial rate over the last couple of years, which is great from a business perspective, however, not so great in a cultural perspective. Kind's growth rate has become an issue in the company because they value an entrepreneurship attitude in the workplace. This means that Kind likes to make every employee feel valued and to know that most of them, on a personal level, are happy. However, with the company growing about 425% in the last 3 years, more employees will be needed in order to keep up with this growth. This will cause issues because with a larger pool of employees, it will be difficult to maintain a close-knit community where employees' ideas are valued. We decided to go with Connor's 8-step model for producing change. We went with this method because we believe it did the best job of breaking down the process for change that we wanted to instill, and it best fit our goal of creating a small community environment for each department. We wanted to keep the closeness among the employees, but also implement a large community environment to ensure that all employees of Kind can bond and have their opinions feel valued. The proposed alteration of the company structure is similar to the method implemented in the federal government. First, we must create a climate for change. Establishing a sense of urgency is key here. Kind desires to retain a consistent community culture within the growing company because that was the original work environment that existed in the company when it first started. There is an overconfidence bias in the company because of its negligence to incorporate the expanding numbers of employees and its markets. Next, we must form a powerful coalition. This means assembling a team of HR individuals and managers from each department. Then, they must create a vision. These individuals must discuss and come up with ways that Kind could promote a close-knit community culture. Once we've created a vision, we're going to need to communicate the vision to the rest of the company. Each department's going to have to effectively communicate the vision to their subordinates. Ideas must be clear and easy to follow when communicated to employees. In order to empower others to act on the vision, managers should encourage collaborations between departments and provide more opportunities of team projects within the departments themselves. Once small community environments are present in all departments, department managers can introduce cross-section projects that will allow employees from their respective departments to attempt to integrate one culture into another. Additionally, Kind can gradually incorporate events into the company's operating calendar that will allow varying departments' employees to socialize at a common event. Managers should continuously try to implement team-building activities and create a culture that promotes closeness among employees. Kind should also be proactive in providing aid to department managers when necessary. Now let's see some of the pros and cons of the system that we've chosen. A benefit of using Cotter's 8-step process is that it does a great job of breaking down the process into smaller steps and to make addressing the problem and making changes that we want easier. We believe that this is the best method to address our problem. This is also the longest and most tedious process because of the amount of steps involved. This could potentially lead to a longer and more expensive process. In the end, we believe that a longer and more expensive model gives us the best chance of success in trying to maintain a tight-knit community feel in a rapidly growing company. The best leadership for introducing and maintaining a community feel at Kind would be someone with charismatic leadership. This leader must be able to effectively communicate the different company cultures as the company continues to expand into different areas of the country and even different parts of the world. This leader must be able to effectively communicate Kind's vision while maintaining a small company feel of being an approachable leader. They must also be able to articulate short and long-term goals of the company and overall be a very sociable person. In terms of resistance, any sort of company-wide change is going to involve a lot of time and money. One of the largest issues that we face is that the time and money that is spent on maintaining this culture is not spent on increasing production. This can be addressed by mentioning that just because it hasn't negatively impacted quality or sales does not mean that it won't in the future, and that addressing the problem now while the company is still young can prevent the problem from getting worse. Some people in the company might not like the idea of trying to have a unified company community feel because that means that they will have to adapt some sort of standard that they might not like. To address this, we should mention that it is necessary to help keep teams consistent and that it's for the greater good of the company overall. That concludes our study, and we thank you for listening.